Oh, bad Vlad. Putin warns nuclear retaliation if Russia's sovereignty is threatened. No one's threatening your sovereignty. You're the one threatening sovereignty from pretty much every goddamn neighbor you have. And look at their elections. I mean, this is the kind of thing that Republicans want for the United States, where if a news reporter said anything negative about the Trump administration, they'd be sent to a fucking gulag for 15 years. If an ordinary citizen complained about the Trump administration, they would be sent to prison or sent to jail for a minimum of 3 years. This man is probably one of the most, I mean, he's right up there with Hitler and Stalin. So the guy has $1 trillion fucking compound. Him and his cronies have stolen like every last fucking dime from the Russian economy. Vladimir Putin, it's all bullshit threats. You see, this is what bullies do when you push them into a corner. This is what bullies do, because you see, they don't like it. Bullies don't like being told, fuck you. Bullies don't like that because it instills fear. You see, when a victim refuses to be a victim, the bully all of a sudden realizes that they might have to fight now. You see, before they would just push and push and push this poor little guy around who's not going to fight back. And you see, the bully knows that guy's not going to fight back, and that's why he's pushing. The very instant the guy being pushed turns around and says, don't push me again or I'm going to fight you, the bully gets scared. They don't get brave. And they damn sure don't fight. So Vladimir Putin understands very well that this is all just talk. Okay? So we've already discovered about Russian military equipment and Russian quality. We already know this, okay? So first off, I'm a firm believer that 10% of any missiles they fired wouldn't even leave the tubes. Convinced. I'm also convinced that 25% that did leave the tubes would either blow up or just quit working shortly thereafter. I'm also convinced that another 25% wouldn't even come close to their targets, not even close. I'm also convinced that we would stop 25%. That doesn't leave them much. So this is what the secret service in Russia understands and knows very well. These Tic Tacs that the American Navy has been doing exercises with for quite some time, although not informing these exercises, not informing these fleets that these fucking Tic Tacs are ours, simply because, like anything else, you need to assess the impact that these vehicles are going to have on an enemy and how they're going to react, what their capabilities are, what they can and cannot do. You see, this is why when the Tic Tacs intercepted off of San Diego, when they intercepted that fleet of ships, all of those Aegis ships had the newest, most advanced radar. Very coincidental, right? And I've always said, how provocative is that for 20 of these things to show up? Have one of them come down and do a hoody-ho with some F-16s. A literal, right? They were testing the above and below water capabilities of our own military service. The Russians know this. The Russians know we have these Tic Tacs. They know it. They're scared. This is why the constant nuclear talk. Well, if I'm correct, and I'm 99.9% sure I am, they understand that we could literally go up and basically eliminate all of their nuclear vehicles. We could eliminate all of their missiles, and probably before they even exited the atmosphere. They know this. You see, this is why presidents would be assassinated. This is why people would be murdered. I can't tell you how many people in our super secret group where they're back engineering these vehicles have been killed, murdered. It's not talked about a lot, but they're there. They've like Vladimir Putin. They've fallen out of hospital windows. They've committed suicide by putting a hose into their car. Okay. This is all bully talk, and they're terrified of us. Vladimir Putin's been told, and I'm sure every country has been trying to recover these vehicles so they can also reverse engineer. But the problem is in a country like Russia, rather than greed producing these vehicles, greed has stopped production of these vehicles. That's it. You see, their system is different. Russia's billionaires steal their fucking money, okay? And through corruption and locked-in contracts with the government and shit where everybody gets a big fucking piece. Whereas in America, it's blatantly in-your-face fucking capitalism. It's the same sort of thing goes on, except one is actually put to use, one is not put to use. Vladimir Putin and his atomic threats. So think about this. If they used even a single tactical battlefield nuclear weapon in Ukraine. Now, number one, oh, wait a minute. So you're telling me that big bad Russia has to use nuclear weapons in the battlefield to protect itself from Ukraine? You see, Vlad and all of his fucking buddies know very, very well that they're not fighting NATO. They're not even fighting Ukraine and Spain. They're not fighting Ukraine and France, let alone Ukraine and NATO. Because if Ukraine had 1/10 of our air power, 1/10, all they need is one fucking stealth bomber, and Moscow's got serious trouble. All they need is 3 or 4 F-22s, 3 or 4 F-35s, and Moscow has real trouble. As you can tell from the attack yesterday deep into Russian territory by Russians themselves, that Vladimir Putin is fucking terrified. And the first thing he does is he pulls his nuclear card. But this is the problem. If he even used one, Russia would become such a pariah that Vladimir Putin understands he would be out of power within a couple of years because no one would trade with him. The North Koreans wouldn't trade with him. The Chinese wouldn't trade with him. No one would do any business with Russia. It would be over. No one would buy or sell 1 gallon of their fucking gasoline or 1 barrel of their oil. No one would cooperate with them. Their space program would be fucking dead. They have no chip technology there. Their country would literally be driven back into the fucking Stone Age. They know this. They're very aware of this. And they're scared. Because the first thing a bully does is he threatens to get a gun. Oh, well, you wanted to push me around until I'm like, fuck you, we're going to fight. So the bully only has one recourse because he can't fight, and he knows he can't fight. Why? Because he's a coward. He can't take the punishment. He's good at dishing it out, but he can't take it. This is what led them to believe, and what I'm ashamed to say led a lot of American military geniuses to claim that it was all going to be over in a week. I want people to go back and look at the videos I did the day that Russia invaded Ukraine. I told them what would happen. They were in for another Vietnam. Welcome to Vietnam. That's what I said. I said they can't afford it, and they're going to turn themselves into a pariah, and that's exactly what's happening. So take my word for it. They're not going to nuke anybody. They understand that it's the entire world against Russia. It's not China and Russia against the rest of the world. It's not China and North Korea against the rest of the world. You see, North Koreans tell their people that they're bigger and badder than America too. You can listen to all the defectors that have left North Korea, and that's what they're told, is that, oh yeah, we could beat America with our nuclear weapons hand down. I don't think a single nuclear weapon could leave North Korea and get more than 200 miles away before it was destroyed. How many secret anti-ballistic missile bases do you think the United States has in South Korea and the surrounding areas? Oh, you think we don't have any? People never think of this. People don't understand how much anti-nuclear missile capability we have underground in the United States. I have experienced this myself personally. So, his threats carry no weight with me. His threats carry no weight with me. These oligarchs, you see, Vladimir Putin hangs by a string, and this string is supported by all of his oligarchs and his secret service. He is hanging from a string. He's always been hanging from a string. And it's very easy to get rid of Vladimir Putin if they need to. And they all understand this. How many of these guys have lost their yachts, lost their billions, been shut out of markets? You see, they're already stressed and pressured. But what Vladimir Putin says is, well, this is what I'll do if you don't go along. I'm going to nationalize your companies. And we just saw that with 3 of their main metal processing groups, specialty metal groups, things like this, were just nationalized. Okay, we're just going to take that, and next thing you know, the guy's fucking committed suicide. You cannot. If you live by the sword, die by the sword. These, you see, Hitler had a very serious problem. Not even halfway through the war. Most of his top guys understood they were going to lose. We're talking about way before the bulge. You know what I mean? We're talking about really, actually, just 8 months after the landing, okay, in Normandy, that they were going to lose. They knew they were going to lose. They knew. And so they're all plotting to fucking kill Hitler. If you don't think that same group doesn't exist in Russia, then you're just naive. People are the same everywhere. People haven't changed since they plotted against Hitler. Power, military power, financial power hasn't changed since it plotted to get rid of Hitler, because they all understood they were all going to lose. They wanted to kill Hitler and make a peace treaty that allowed them to keep all of their goodies. They figured if they got rid of Hitler, that they could all have their cake and eat it too. And there were numerous times that American forces and British Secret Service forces had gun sights on Hitler. And they all decided not to kill Hitler for a very good reason. That Hitler was going to end Germany sooner by leaving Hitler in power. They may have even contributed to stopping some of these assassination attempts because they understood that having Hitler in power was the best possible way of destroying and stopping the war and stopping Germany. It's the same thing in Russia right now. Trust me, it is. They are plotting. Trust me, they are. This is why so many people are dying in Russia, because, well, you don't know who to trust in Russia at all. They're turn in your neighbor kind of fucking attitude like the Nazis had, you know what I mean? But they're there. And Putin knows they're there. So he knows that ordering a nuclear strike would mean the elimination of every single one of these guys. All of the billionaires in Russia would become criminals. And they know that they would be headed to a fucking war trials when this is all over. They all know that. They all understand how the world really works, okay? And it's all just talk. It's talk from a bully, because think about it. Russia's having to make threats of nuclear weapons. Has the United States ever had to do that? Think about it. Vladimir Putin. Has the United States ever had to use the nuclear threat against Afghanistan or Iraq or Vietnam or even you? Have we had to use the nuclear threat? No. So why does Vladimir Putin feel he needs to use the nuclear threat? It just shows his weakness. Don't you understand? It shows his weakness and his fear. Because he understands as well as anyone else in the country that they're fucking precariously hanging by a string. They've propped up their economy for as long as they can. They're spending all of their reserves. The only income they have is coming in a manner that is against basically, everything America's set up to prevent them from making money. The sanctions are working, and the new sanctions that are going out are going to be even more devastating. So, you see, I think Vlad's finally come to the conclusion that everything he wanted to accomplish, he got the exact opposite. All of the men around him are like, oh, yeah. I mean, your absolute, your dictionary kind of fucking definition of a yes man. That's who he's surrounded by. And when he gets someone who's not a yes man, they fall out of a fucking window. There's a disease there that causes people to fall out of windows. And now he has started taking people's businesses away from them. This happened, it's happened in Chile. It's happened in Argentina, where they just go, we're just going to nationalize everything. And people were paying $5 a gallon for gas in Argentina, or 5 cents a gallon for gas in Argentina. You see, Vlad knows. Vlad has a problem. He has all thousands of billionaires that are spoiled fucking rotten and have been. And it's really hard to break spoiled kids. It's a hard thing to break. These people who, they don't want to give up their billions. They don't want to be sent to prison. They don't want to be looked at as war criminals. And Vlad understands that also. You see, it's a very complicated, tangled web, okay, of deceit, corruption, murder, and it's just like everyone knows Putin's going to be elected. Why? Because he's either killed off or said that you can't run or locked people up. I mean, he's made damn sure that he's going to get elected again. And all of his cronies, all of the billionaires, okay, the oligarchs, are going to go along with him because that's the only way they can keep their shit. If there was a real democratic government put in place in Russia, all of those guys would all go to jail for corruption, and they know it. Okay? The FSB would be, disbanded. They can't, you see, these billionaires they're stuck in a position now where they're in this fucking downhill fucking speeding car right to the end. There's no getting out now. If you get out now, you're going so fast, you're gonna perish. There's no giving this up now. This is like going all the way to the fucking end. And when you start threatening to use nuclear weapons to defend yourself, you're pretty damn close to the fucking end, my friend. Pretty damn close to the end. Putin warns nuclear retaliation if Russia's sovereignty is threatened. No one wants Russia. Who the fuck wants Russia? Who wants Russia? You go to St. Petersburg, you go to Moscow, Russia looks okay. Just like fucking Tucker the traitor Carlson, okay? He goes to Moscow. He never went out in the rural areas. He never went out where the 95% of everyone else lives and see that only 1 in 5 people have a toilet. Have the rest of them have to go outside in sub-zero temperature weathers to take a shit. You didn't see him do that. How many people in the United States don't have a toilet in their house? I'll guarantee you it's not 4 out of 5 people, I guarantee you that. But in rural Russia, okay, 1 in 5 people have a toilet. All you have to do is read. If you read about Russia for 2 years, their weak points, their strong points, their political system, their monetary system, their defense system, the cracks are so wide. The issues and problems they have that are so levelly complicated, all supported by the level below them, okay? And when the collapse happens, it's going to be like the World Trade Center. It's going to be blunk, 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 blunk. This level supports this level, this level supports this level, this level supports this level. And if any of them fail, the whole house of cards is coming down. And so this is why you get the nuclear threats. Has the United States ever had to use the nuclear threat, okay, against countries they were at war with? We used them in World War II, and then after that, you don't see us talking about it. And yet, in Russia, it's non-fucking stop, the nuclear threat. Non-stop. When the Russians themselves know that if they even used one tactical nuclear weapon, that they would become persona non grata on this fucking globe. Putin would be out, the billionaires would be out, and they all know it. Okay? Now, if you're talking about a suicidal order, where Vladimir Putin understands that he's about to be put on trial and hung like Saddam Hussein, that he would order tactical nuclear strikes, no one's going to carry him out. Because the support system that supports this, that supports this, that supports this, they all understand, hey, it's easier just to get rid of this guy. Because we're all about to lose everything, and we're not going to let one fucking madman do this. And it's exactly what happened to Hitler. Right when everybody's like, oh, Hitler's going to conquer the world, okay? At that point, at his highest fucking point, okay, he had all of these generals and everyone else wanting to kill him because they all knew it was over. And it's the same thing now in Russia.